Megan, can you mute people who are not muted?
Yes. Okay, hello everyone. It's about 8:01, so we're going to get this started very soon. Welcome all to the Accelerate for Impact platform and Innovative Food System Solutions portal's orientation to backcasting and the Pathway to Impact Builder tool. So we'll allow a little bit more time for a few attendees to trickle in. And while they do so, I just want to thank everyone for their participation and their attendance today. For your information, this orientation will be recorded as a resource for you all to be shared after the session. So thank you for your cooperation in this. And since we have such great attendance today, we ask that when you are not asking questions or contributing to a discussion, please keep your microphones on mute. You will have a chance to participate in this orientation during built-in times for questions, as well as through interactive portions of this presentation using Mentimeter. Of course, you're also more than welcome to use the Teams chat to ask questions throughout. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started in a joint effort from the Accelerate for Impact platform, which is the team behind the Agrobiodiversity Innovation Challenge and the Innovative Food System Solutions portal team. We bring to you today this orientation on using the backcasting process to develop pathways to impact. This session is meant to support you as innovators by helping to take your ideas to the next level towards scaling for action and impact. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Megan Steele. I provide support to the Accelerate for Impact platform, and I was privileged enough to host the Agrobiodiversity Innovation Challenge, which you all participated in. Presenting for the IFSS team today will be Heather Zornitzer and Rosalind Vermont. For the agenda of today's meeting, I'll begin with a quick introduction to the A4IP initiative for some context on our goals, activities, and ambitions with this collaboration. I'll then hand it over to Heather and Rosalind, who will be representing the IFSS portal team in our orientation today, so that they can share with you the wealth of tools, resources, and community that the portal has to offer. Heather and Rosalind will give a demonstration on the backcasting process and foster a discussion on how it can create pathways to impact for your innovation. We'll close by discussing next steps and for how you can maximize this opportunity by continuously engaging with the resources that IFSS and A4IP have to offer. Now, I'd just like to give a quick introduction to the Accelerate for Impact platform, one portion of the team that's bringing you this orientation today. So building on CJR's legacy of research and innovation, A4IP bridges science and entrepreneurship to co-design and scale agriculture and climate change science-based technologies while ensuring that solutions are accessible to all. A4IP is a venture space that responds to the need to scale existing research products, but also to stimulate and fund the most visionary teams working on cutting-edge areas of research, exploring game-changing solutions, and taking them to market. A4IP is articulated around three main pillars. First, to leverage existing knowledge products and services with the aim of scouting and valorizing dormant know-how. Second, to co-design and launch novel transformative innovations. And third, to nurture an entrepreneurial mindset and market-oriented approach to support innovation processes at CJR and partner organizations. In the 6 months since its launch, A4IP has worked to kick off innovation initiatives within and beyond CJR. At the same time, we are laying groundwork for future activities, including furthering programs with Rockstart, another innovation challenge, Digital Ag for Morocco, in partnership with the World Bank and execution with a local partner accelerator, and more. Of course, one of the most notable achievements for the team was the success of the Agrobiodiversity Innovation Challenge in November, of which all of you were a part and with whom we could not have done it without. So having seen the promise and quality of your applications, we wanted to build on the momentum and offer tools to strengthen, clarify, and scale your innovations. So we'll do this together through our partnership with the Innovative Food Systems Solutions portal. And now, before I hand it over to Heather and Roslyn, I'd like to give the opportunity for any attendees with questions about the goals or work of the Accelerate for Impact platform to ask them. I'll allow just one more moment here to see if anything comes in the chat. All right, well, if everything is clear with the Accelerate for Impact platform's goals with this initiative, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Heather and Roslyn for an introduction of the IFSS portal.
Thank you very much, Megan. And it's really exciting to connect here with all of you and share the space with you in this. So we will be giving here first a short introduction to the Innovative Food System Solutions portal, and then dive into the backcasting exercise and tool. So the Innovative Food System Solutions portal has been launched in 2021 as a really an open access collaborative initiative to co-create change to improve human and environmental health in more equitable ways. You see the website there, we'll share this with you all, and it's hosted under the broader umbrella of Nutrition Connect. Now, to give you a little bit of background story of how did this all started, how did it start? And it really was a collaborative effort to bring better together research, innovation, and action. And seeing the urgency for food systems change as also expressed in the 2021 UN Food Systems Summit, as well as in many global and local calls, there has been this growing momentum around initiatives to better surface and connect and enable innovative solutions that can be game changers, but that can really help towards more sustainable solutions towards the future. And there has been this growing momentum around that. And there have been different initiatives that have helped to surface these innovations, like your innovations. Now, whether to keep these list of innovations and kind of solutions as isolated catalogs or of siloed information, we move towards creating a collaborative online open access pool that is dynamic and encourages users across the food sector to explore and connect solutions and jointly move towards actions for uptake and for meaningful impact. Now, overall, the portal thereby aims to bridge research, innovation, use, and scaling, and move beyond kind of the research on one hand and the innovation and the action on the other hand, to bring these better together and to engage really as much as possible for as big as an impact as possible towards the SDG goals. Now, this has a bit of a background on this, and we connected with many different groups in this design process, and there a lot of things happened during 2021 with many momentum around food systems. Now, we moved towards the portal guided by these specific questions as we were interacting with many different groups. This is how do we make solutions and related information more visible and accessible and connect better the local with the global to feed into each other, how to support these innovations towards actions, how to move also beyond the idea of silver bullet and continue to promote and facilitate cross-pollination between people and bundling of innovations across different sectors of the food systems around the world. How can we support removing bottlenecks to uptake, support enabling factors, and reduce barriers in moving innovative ideas towards impact at scale, and how to strengthen collaborations, building on all the bubbling and kind of all the momentum that happened in the 2021 year of the summit to support equitable participation. And so here, building on that and interacting with many different groups, we've focused the portal on two main functions. One is exploring and sharing of solutions and inspiration. So to explore and make more visible solutions, funding, examples, and knowledge around those, and to facilitate getting inspired by and learn from each other. And on the other side, to connect this with support for actions, with tools and resources, to strengthen networks and connections, to co-create and bundle solutions, and to jointly learn or co-learn and build skills around this. And this is also where the backcasting tool and facilitation exists, and connecting you in this space. And here we also built upon this bridge between innovators, and this can be entrepreneurs, youth, researchers, and others, and innovation users and enablers, like policymakers, businesses, investors, NGOs, food and producers, consumer networks, and researchers, to further bring these various networks together and connect between them. And the portal has a growing group of co-partners and collaborators. It was started by GAIN, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, together with the Alliance of Biodiversity and SIAD, and EAT, and then also others joined as we were further building this, and others are joining as we're speaking. So also if you are interested, don't hesitate to contact us, as this is a growing portal of partners and collaborators. Now, beyond the logos, you see here the core team of the portal and strategic advisory committee, where we aim to really connect innovators, researchers, policymakers in this space of how to further enable innovative food system solutions for impact. And so my name is Roslyn, and I'm here together also with Heather, and potentially Charlotte and Françoise are also joining maybe later. So we are also really interested in who you are and to connect in this space. So we would like to invite you to go to mentee.com. You can scan the barcode, or you can just go to the website and use this code. Heather will also put it in the chat. So you can do www.mentee.com and then put in the code 52771689. Or with your phone, if you're on the phone, it's maybe easy to scan the barcode. I'll change my screen to go there. Great, and I see people are already putting in. So we can here, you can choose a category and you can choose multiple. And you see here also where you need to go to. So we'll give it a few minutes. See the entrepreneurial and researcher groups. And in case you struggle to join Mentimeter, just let us know in the chat and we can also assist you there. Yeah, we have also an activist joining and an other, and you can please clarify in the chat also if you put others, so we know who else is joining. Okay, good. So we see we have a mix of entrepreneurs, researchers, and several others from NGOs, students, activists, and yeah, we can collect more information also. Also later, we'll go to see where are you joining from. So we just stay on the same Mentimeter, and the next question will pop up to see where you're joining from. Nigeria, Rwanda, Morocco, India. Morocco is winning. Ah, Rwanda. Okay, nice. We have a good mix of people joining from different places. Morocco, Rwanda, and Nigeria are kind of the top three. Then just one other question to know where you are working on, if you're working on an innovation linked to what category of the food value chain. And we structured these type of categories as the solutions on the Innovative Food System Solutions portal are structured in these categories and are built upon a value chain approach and a food system approach. See, mainly agriculture inputs and primary production practices. That makes a lot of sense, of course, with the agrobiodiversity focus. Great, and we have some across the value chain, but for so nobody yet on regulatory aspects or wholesale markets and retail. Okay, nice. So we have an initial insight on who is here on the call and on what type of innovations situated where on the value chain you're working with. And this also to help connect you with each other across the value chain to see who else is on this call. Oops. So now I go back to the presentation and I'll give the word to Heather. Oh, sorry. To give a first introduction to the portal, a deeper dive into this. Heather, you want to share your screen?
After this slide, I'll just jump straight into the site. So if you just stay on it for now, and then I'll jump. Great, thank you. Thanks, Ro. And hello, everybody. It's really exciting to see the range of innovations that you're working with, where everyone's from, who you are. And this is exactly why we built the portal the way that we did, to try to really be a useful resource in many ways to lots of different kinds of actors across the food system. Of course, it's not everything to everybody, so please keep that in mind as we take a little bit of a tour through the portal coming up. But because it has grown so quickly, and as Rosalind said, this has just come online in May of 2021, there's a lot on there. There's a lot that's growing quickly, and I wanted to just take this slide to kind of give us an orientation to the most important parts of the portal to start with. Maybe you'll find lots of other things on there, but just as there's lots of resources organized there, I want to focus on our solutions database and how you can explore through the solutions database over there on the top left corner, looking at the top right, finding funding resources and searching through an additional database of funders and investors and donors that are interested in helping to take solutions towards scale and impact. The bottom right here, looking at a little bit of a directory of events and opportunities, and inviting you to add your own and contribute to the portal community, bridging sectors from agricultural production through policy and regulators, from innovators to entrepreneurs, et cetera, and students and researchers. So there's a wide range of events and opportunities that you can find on the portal. It is certainly not comprehensive, but just as a starting point for upcoming forums, competitions, seminars, trainings, other things there. And then in the bottom left, engaging with our moving to action section. And there's a lot that we'll show there, but I just wanted to kind of give you this orientation of roughly how the major parts of the portal are organized. And if I can share my screen, I will jump us into a quick tour. Okay. Is everybody seeing the portal here? Can I get a thumbs up, Ro? Because I can't see anybody but Ro. Okay, thanks. Okay, so welcome to the IFSS portal. As Rosalind said, it's hosted on nutritionconnect.org, which is supported in part by GAIN and other partners. And at this homepage, we have the menus organized across the top, but you can also scroll down and find a little bit of an orientation and introduction, as well as highlights of recent solutions that have been added, some comments and thoughts and feedback from multiple types of users across the portal community, and then again some highlights of upcoming events and opportunities down at the bottom. I'm going to start us in the solutions database. So as Rosalind mentioned, the idea was to create an online, interactive, open access catalog of sorts that's hopefully very searchable in logical ways to multiple types of food system actors around the world. And so at the top of the database section here, as you get into exploring solutions, there's different types of filters that you can use. You can certainly search by keyword. You can also search by supply chain segment, which were the categories that Rosalind showed in the Mentimeter survey there. And there's also maturity level, so idea, prototype, gaining traction, moving to scale, or innovation solutions that are already at a mainstream scale. Certainly, you can search by the Sustainable Development Goal target, and this is a somewhat common language across multiple sectors working in food system transformation right now. So we wanted to have that be a logical way to filter through solutions that are included in the portal. Country and context, including urban, rural, peri-urban, marine, coastal. This is, of course, not comprehensive, but it's rough categories for now that can help orient you through the portal. The last set of filters that I want to just draw our attention to is this set of criteria, which really bridge both the human health as well as planetary health impact areas. And we'll get more into that in a minute, but you could search by innovations that target food safety, for example, or innovations that really focus on increasing agrobiodiversity. And these were a set of criteria that were applied in a Project Disrupt, which was one of the formative research efforts that helped to birth the portal in 2020. And we found it to be a really interesting way of helping to apply a lens across different types of solutions so that we're never forgetting that there are these multiple criteria sets that are really important to help meet all of these or a lot of these sustainable development goals by this 2030 timeline horizon, meaning that we will not have sustainable food systems without a healthy planet, and we will not have healthy humans without healthy diets on a healthy planet. So just to keep that in mind. So I'm going to just pick one of these solutions to give you a little bit of an orientation into how the solution profiles were developed. All of those filters are over here on the right. I'm actually going to back out just a little bit so you can see a little more here, including the supply chain segment, the maturity level, which criteria and multiple of those in most cases that apply, what sustainable development targets are included, the context that this may be appropriate for. There's the name of the solution, who submitted it, roughly when it was submitted, and then keywords. And as each profile was developed, you can sort of expand or shrink into this, more or less information at a glance or dive deeper. And so each one highlights primary users or target users of that particular solution. And then we've asked, for narratives around dietary impact, human health and nutrition, planetary impact and environmental impact, as well as equity, the impact potential around increasing equity in the food system. And then main concerns, issues, whether there's controversies around this particular solution, what are some of the challenges that may come up with this solution, either if it were to be used or with experience that has happened so far. At the second part of each solution profile includes real-world examples, and you can choose to click on a map and take a look around the world. And then there are these sort of example highlights here in the second half of each solution profile. And at this point in time, these are simply pointing you out to resources elsewhere on the web, real projects, real businesses, real products. And so this just gives you an example of those as attached to solutions. The idea in general was to include solutions as sort of a concept, because there's lots of products that might fall into this kind of solution. 3D printed meat, for example, there may be multiple products and companies working on that. And so we didn't want this to be an exhaustive, or we didn't have the intention of this portal being an exhaustive catalog of every single new tangible innovation or solution at work in the moment, but rather to think about these as solution types and then highlight examples that may fall under those. So some solutions have many, many, many examples. Some have just a few. Some are just ideas. And the idea is to encourage people to submit new solutions and also add your examples to solutions that fit for what your innovation may be, and additional resources. And I just want to point out here that we intend additional resources to be everything from scientific papers, impact evaluations, project reports, as well as journalism pieces, popular press pieces, videos, and controversies perhaps around certain types of solutions. So the idea here again is to raise awareness around what this solution looks like in different places and what resources there may be to dive further for you to explore. And you can then also add yourself as a contact if you'd like to be contacted by groups working on this solution. The portal originally, we didn't want to create another platform, another set of community collaboration mechanisms with so many already out there. So we use LinkedIn to connect our portal community for the moment. We'll be sharing all of these resources with you towards the end of the presentation and also by email afterwards. But I just wanted to point out that here you can find the portal on LinkedIn, join the LinkedIn community, and then there's updates and news and discussions that are happening there. For the moment, that's how we're going to keep the community. We may decide to go in different directions with that in the future, but if there's questions, we can field those in a moment. The last part of each solution profile actually has a direct link to build a pathway for impact for this particular solution, if you're really interested in exploring that further for your context. And also, if there has already been, in this case there wasn't, but if there has already been a pathway map submitted by someone else for this solution, it would be attached here at the bottom, and you can go ahead and take a look at that as an idea. And we're going to go much deeper into that in a little bit, so I'm going to stop there for now. I want to back out and go over here to our Finding Funding section and just highlight that this is a part of the portal where you can find, you can search a database of investors and donors. And just like for the solutions database, there are some searchable fields. You can enter keywords, you can look at target locations. Some of these are by region and some of these are individual countries, because this came from an effort that was a partnership between GAIN and the Sun Business Network. And so they shared their database of over 200 donors and investors of a range of types, whether they're accelerators, they're other foundations, impact investors, what different types of funding mechanisms, grants, debt equity hybrid models, and across multiple sectors as well. So as you all may be looking for new investors and partners to work with your solutions on, I invite you to check out this section of the portal and see if you can find some good matches. And then the portal right now does not have an active way of matching you or pairing you with donors or investors, but you can certainly reach out directly to any of these that you find on here. In this section of the portal, there's also a whole lot of information and resources around understanding investment gaps in innovation. And this was in part supported by a partner, COSI, the Commission for Sustainable Agricultural Intensification. And so there's a number of resources and evidence papers that you can find in there. And there's also a guide for funding that was put together by GAIN, and there's going to be a video that accompanies this that we're working on right now, so keep checking back for that. And we're looking into opportunities for building some other tools in this section of the portal that would help you map out some business canvas planning and other resources there. I mentioned the events and opportunities. So just to show you this, that we have another database of events and opportunities. You can look backwards by date and see what has happened in the past. You can look forward and see what's coming up. This is, again, not comprehensive, but just as partners want to help share and connect across food system communities and reduce these silos and really work on strengthening a community that's working around multiple sectors. You can sort of look into other things going on here. And of course, innovation challenges are also going to be hosted here. So you can submit your own. So that would be great. If any of you have relevant upcoming events or opportunities to this community, we invite you to submit them. And just to show that there's a page on the portal for the Agrobiodiversity Innovation Challenge. And after today's session, we'll be including some of the resources from today right here on this page. So you can always check back and find those there as well. We do have a really important priority of the portal is youth engagement in meaningful ways. And by that, I mean that we want to support youth-led initiatives in this space in food system transformation. And so we partner with Act for Food, Act for Change, as well as the World Food Forum. And global youth at that table. And there's a number of resources here for youth and youth allies to check out, including articles and blogs. We partner with Nutrition Connect on some of these shared resources. And we also are beginning to grow our portal international research team itself. So if you fall into the 30 and under category, we would love to hear from you about joining that, and or if your youth allies older outside of that category working with youth, please feel free to get in touch with us if you'd like to learn more about that. I'm going to take us into our moving to action section, and then we're going to slowly transition into our backcasting, diving into the details of that. But the idea with this is to get beyond just exploring and searching and learning about innovative solutions out there, but really start to work with solutions and packages or bundles of solutions to move towards major impact, again, by this 2030 Sustainable Development Goal time horizon. And so in this section of the portal, we have a wide range of guides and resources. I'm going to sort of work backwards and get to backcasting. So we invite you to check out this. This includes startup manuals, different kinds of policy recommendations, toolkits, and resources from all across the food system. And we invite you to submit others if you know of others that we can certainly include here. And then also the Adelphi Toolkit, which is a process to help source or assess innovative solutions for your context. It's a way of bringing together a group of people, a group of potentially organizations or partners, and building some consensus around what to focus on, what to prioritize. And so we used this process in part to source a lot of the original innovations and solutions that are included in the portal. And so many of our participants across the food system sector, including artists and journalists and activists, as well as researchers and innovators and private sector, and we got a lot of feedback about how useful that process itself was. So we decided to include a toolkit here just in case that's useful for you. So we invite you to check that out. And then, of course, we get to the backcasting tool. And I'm going to actually not dive into that for the moment because we're going to come back to that. The last piece I want to just highlight on the portal website itself is the About Us page, which again just gives a bit more background. It has a lot of links. It's an open invitation to partner with us. Again, this is an open, ongoing, collaborative effort. And so we really encourage and invite contributions and participation from all across the world in the food system. And we have listed here some other resources in case this is interesting to you to dive into, some of the background resources that help to shape and form the solutions database itself, as well as a whole range of other parallel and relevant and collaborative efforts that are going on around the world. And then we absolutely always include names and organizations if people want to share them, of anybody that's submitted solutions and examples and content to the portal as well. So this is just to highlight these are all the real people behind this initiative. So I'm going to stop there and go back. Oh, maybe we can mute. There. Okay.
Oh, this is Fatamie now.
Okay. If I can ask everybody just to mute their mics, please. Megan, if you need to mute all, then I can unmute. Okay, we're good. Okay, so we just went through this, and I just wanted to end here for the moment, which is just to reiterate that this was an initiative that launched very quickly in 2021, and it's gone in some really interesting directions, and it's really what we're thinking of as a version 1.0. So in 2022, as we move forward now, we're working on lots of different things, one of which is to think about how we can highlight and really help users visualize what the range of solutions looks like at a glance. This is just an example. So right now, the gray part of this circle over here, it represents, about more than a third, almost a half of all of the solutions included in the portal right now are very heavily leaning towards the ag production end of the food system supply chain. But there are, of course, lots of solutions around, the whole rest of the supply chain and different supply chain segments, and also policies and educational outreach approaches. So we'll be building on those, but it's interesting to note how, that's one way of looking at what's there for now. We'll also be working on highlighting synergies and how solution bundles or multiple solutions together in a particular context in the real world. What does that look like? What are some insights coming out of those experiences and lessons learned that can be shared? We're going to be highlighting examples a bit more. So as we have these solution profiles, we're looking at ways of figuring out how to highlight real world examples and making some of these solutions feel more concrete as you look through them. Certainly supporting innovation challenges like this one. We'll also be working with the Eat Safe initiative on a food safety innovation challenge later in 2022, and others coming on board. And as I mentioned, again, youth engagement. So I'm going to stop there and pass the word back to Ro, and we're going to open it up for questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Heather. So we welcome very much questions or comments now on the portal. So if you have on this overall overview of the portal before we dive into the backcasting, if you have any questions or comments, I see one question, if I understood it well, in the chat about where the portal is based. And so that it's really a global initiative. So we are not, and it's different organizations working together on this. And these different organizations are actually based in different places. Like GAIN is headquartered in Geneva, but has offices in many different places. And Charlotte is actually also here from GAIN. And the Alliance is based in Rome. I see one other questions about the marketing of black rice from India from Professor Subas. Maybe Professor, you can raise your question, or you can unmute yourself and raise your question.
Yeah, thank you, madam. So this is a nice platform to share my views. So India, you know that second largest producer of rice, including the black rice, which are highly aromatic, fragrant rice with high nutritional quality. Can we market that black rice in a packet form to combat the nutritional deficiency? Or you can say this is a nutritional security purpose throughout the world.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, your question is definitely an open question. I don't think it's up to us to say yes or no if we can market this, but I think it's definitely an example of a solution that could be submitted to the portal and thereby made more visible to other types of communities. So we could encourage you, for example, to submit that solution also to the portal to make it more visible, also to explore, for example, the funders database to see if there are certain funders specifically interested in these type of solutions, and also maybe to connect it to other type of solutions that are also talking about nutrition goals in India or globally, to combine, for example, black rice with other products. So the portal is not so much about, it's to make these solutions more visible and to connect, to facilitate further connections on those. I don't know if Heather or Charlotte want to add more to that.
I'll jump in there. This is actually a fantastic way to think about the use of the portal. You have this question: how can I make this product that I think is a really important component to solving a lot of these problems, and possibly a very viable business model as well? And so the tool, one of the tools that's there's lots that you can look around and hopefully help you to think through, how you can advance that solution towards having more impact. The backcasting tool and the exercise that we're going to talk about in a little bit, I think is a really good example of helping you move from these questions towards understanding what are some of the barriers to do that? What do I need to have in place to make that work? What policies may need to be there? What enabling factors in terms of cultural acceptability of black rice compared to white rice, for example. These different elements that will go into how to take an idea or a very viable solution in hand, but how to take a product or an innovation, something that's early in its scaling phase, towards having larger uptake and impact going forward. So we don't have those answers, and part of the idea is to help you come up with tools and mechanisms for you to solve some of those questions or answer those questions, generating other questions perhaps in the process. But so that's all I would add to that.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. I see. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I see a question from Ibrahima and also from Aziz. Ibrahima, can you unmute yourself? Ibrahima, we can't hear you yet.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Yes, okay, no, great, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to participate to this meeting. My name is Ibrahima. I believe I'm from Lifelet or Leafylet. It's a company based in Ivory Coast, okay, Cote d'Ivoire, and present in many countries in Africa and several countries. I'm in charge of international business development and partnership of the company. I'm also co-founder and country manager in Senegal. So thank you for the tool you are offering us and about innovation. So I would like to talk, if you allow, about our innovation, okay, and see how we can partner with you. So our innovation is have several functions, okay. We have indoor and outdoor solution, but the innovation I would like to talk about is about our Wi-Fi solar street lights with integrated sensors for climate and environment. Okay, so it allows to have public lighting, electricity, high-speed internet with integrated sensors to forecast rainfall, to measure rainfall and locate it 2 hours before with precision, and also to measure carbon emission rate, fine particle in the rate, fine particle in the air, to measure also wind speed and sunshine. So it also allows to prevent natural disaster, okay, and it allows farmers to know weather and climate information to have better crops and better food, and also they have access to internet and lighting and electricity for e-commerce and content for agriculture and education. So we would like to know how we can partner with you and to scale with our solution globally.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ibrahima, for that introduction and the question. So I think we'll come also to a couple of next steps at the end, where we kind of give 4 to 5 steps of how you can engage with us and how that can then also contribute to the potential scaling. So we'll refer to these. We have 5 concrete next steps to address that question, and we'll come to that at the end, actually. Yeah, I'll ask Aziz. Is also his hand up?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Happy to meet you again. My name is Aziz. I'm a professor at the National School of Agriculture of Meknes in Morocco. I'm here online with my PhD student, Omnia. We were one of the, we developed a solution that we present in Agrobiodiversity Innovation Challenge. Now in Morocco, the borders are closed, and what you are offering is opening the border for us online with the other researcher, our other investor, other donors. It's a very good opportunity for us to interact, to increase our network in order to large scale our solution, develop new solution for another specific context in other countries. So this is a very great opportunity for us. We will go through all the links you showed us, all the details, to see how we can take advantage of it for networking, for proposal, for developing new tools, or also putting our solution in the markets if we find a good investor and also other donors and so on. So I don't have a really question, but just to thank you for this opportunity. It's well done. Thanks for you. And we can discuss later if it's possible. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you.
Great. Thanks, Aziz, for emphasizing the networking indeed function that we want to help facilitate. That's really great. And I mean, this was just the first part of the session, so we continue. And in interest of time, we'll move ahead, and I'll share my screen again. We first do a very quick Mentimeter again now with this, also because it's important also in terms of how we further shape how we further shape the portal, and what is most importantly for you is how do you think and hope the IFSS portal can support you? So I see several of you have already answered that. That's great. We'll just take 1 or 2 more minutes for those who haven't. So if you can go again to www.mentee.com and use the code here 527716 and 89 to reflect a bit how the Innovative Food System Solutions portal can most effectively support you. And I see 2 parts, 2 functions come up most strongly. It's make innovations more visible to others and to strengthen the network and connection. So we'll also definitely come back to that of how to further do that. And we have a direct form to submit innovations as well as different opportunities to strengthen the network further. So please go ahead and continue filling in your perspective here as we move further to and dive into the backcasting tool. So I'll share again here. So here we want to do an introduction to the backcasting and why are we focusing for this particular session and with you as entrepreneurs on this backcasting. Now, in general, backcasting involves defining a future of impact, a future vision of impact, and then working backwards to identify different steps and different opportunities as well as different barriers to achieve this function. And while, I mean, the exercise on itself is basically very simple as an idea, but as we have seen this, as we use this as a tool with different groups, and it really helps along the way to anticipate and clarify better the what, when, and how of moving an idea towards having major positive impact. So to take some time to do it can really have a lot of benefits as things move forward. Now, why using backcasting is really to help imagine and communicate also a desired scenario, to help articulate your vision for a situation in the future where a solution has major positive impact, and to also further clarify and articulate that impact and think about impact in different dimensions: social, environmental, and economic impact. And while doing so, to anticipate and explore options to address complex problems affecting the many interrelated elements of taking an idea to scale. Not to see only barriers, but to really see kind of taking it step by step and anticipating potential problems and thereby already starting to find also solutions for those. And this is to help develop an actionable pathway to start from and to return then for course correction along the way. It's not that what you put in now, you need to kind of stick to that, but it's more kind of a guidance, and then you can change that as things move and make it a learning process. You can revisit this pathway as often as needed and to adjust and modify when necessary. Now, the Innovative Food System Solutions portal takes a real sustainable food systems approach to this backcasting. And this is on one hand, while developing these backcasting pathways to encourage thinking of impact on multiple sustainable dimensions: social, particularly nutrition and equity, economic, livelihoods and the business model to scale, and environmental. And there are different categories on the Food System Solutions portal where we trigger this thinking for. So the leading question is, what are the impacts of your innovative solutions on specific domains like nutrition, environment, and equity? And also a second key innovative food system solutions backcasting characteristic is to stimulate connection to other innovations and solutions that can potentially help address a certain problem and thereby take your solution to scale and or complement your solution for larger impact. So to stimulate this kind of networking also towards other solutions by bundling them to have bigger impact or faster impact for your vision for 2030. Now, what are the different steps in the backcasting process? First, it's a describing about what your innovative solution is or does. Then it's a visioning to articulate the so what. Where do you want to get this? What is the impact that you envision for your innovation? Third is then the pathway mapping of getting there with identification of the beneficiaries and key stakeholders for the solution, to define key steps and milestones towards reaching scale and impact. And also very important to identify possible challenges, problems or barriers and strategies then to overcome these. And then reflecting on solution packages and essential elements. What do we mean with this? Is what are some of the key things and enabling factors for the solution to have a major impact? And we come to examples of that while Heather will walk through it. But for example, if there's a certain trust building that is needed with certain partners for the solution to have a major impact, or youth engagement or women empowerment to really have bigger impact for the solution. Or for example, a certain policy where we can connect then innovations with the policy space that can help make a solution reach a bigger impact than maybe originally anticipated for. And then on the other hand, also to anticipate potential synergies, and with this we mean co-benefits, also multiple benefits, and also trade-offs, this is conflicts or potential unintended consequences for multiple dimensions, like maybe one innovation aims for really optimizing nutrition, but think also about potential co-benefits for environment, like focusing on diversity can be very good for the diets and can be also very good for the environment, or there can also be trade-offs, for example, with packaging or so, as well as for equity sustainability goals as well. And third is then also to explore potential important synergies or complementary functions with other solutions. And this links very much also to this pathway building, but when you have built your pathway, to further reflect, are there certain synergies with other solutions to further amplify the potential impact of your innovation? So these are the four broad steps, and then you can kind of you formulate a vision statement, and this is an example of a pathway. This is just a visual of a pathway. This one is for to unlock the potential of native crops in Ethiopia. And here you can see, like, this is the vision and what are the different steps needed towards this, what are some of the barriers and what are some of the solutions or strategies to identify these barriers. And having this kind of worked out and kind of playing around also with the order has really shown to kind of help think through and better anticipate the planning of solutions for different types of impact. So I'll give here the word back to Heather, who will show how the portal can facilitate this backcasting exercise and how you can also make it more visible on the portal. So yeah, Heather, I'll change again to you.
Thanks, Ro. Okay. So again, I'm just going to leave this in the slide view for just a second, but just to point out that as you are going to hopefully explore this tool yourself, you can find the backcasting tool under the Moving to Action section. You would click on the backcasting tool menu right here, and then you're going to scroll down and you have two options. You can start directly with the interactive map builder, and we're going to walk through that in just a second, or you can first explore a gallery of other pathway maps that have been submitted. A lot of these were submitted to the portal under a different project, basically, and we've done a little bit of work with them. So a lot of them are from Ethiopia, Mozambique, and Bangladesh, because they came out of a particular project that was focusing on this exercise. I hope after this, in the coming weeks, we have a lot more maps up here. But the idea is that you can share your pathway maps and also look through those that others have submitted for inspiration and for ideas. So if you're working in India on mushroom mycelia for protein, you can take a look at what somebody in Bangladesh suggested for their pathway and get ideas. This is not meant to, and there was an issue around sort of proprietary, a question in the chat around how do you make sure certain things are highlighted with equal visibility. Again, we do a very minimal amount of revision or editing on the portal research teams and for the moment, and we're really trying to encourage a wide range of applications of solutions, or if you will, ways of implementing solutions from different parts of the world and different contexts with different approaches. So almost everything up here is shared with very minimal filtration, as long as things don't fall outside the range or not inappropriate. There's no gaming of the system. We're not going to promote particular products over others, but the idea is to share as much here as possible. So so this is meant as a way to get inspired. I'm going to actually, I'm going to go back and just kind of focus on this again one more time. So the portal's version of the Pathway to Impact tool is really meant to be a self-guided tool for either individuals or for teams. You can use it in a 30-minute, let me just brainstorm this out and sort of work online, or spread this out over as many hours or days as you'd like to work sort of in a workshop model with your team around this. And we invite you to start in an offline mode with a workshop, again, for low bandwidth settings. The tool itself requires that you're online and entering your information in one session for the moment. So if you're in a low bandwidth setting, if you're likely to get kicked off of the net for a moment, we really encourage you to use the worksheet also to help you formulate ideas and give you time for reflection. And then you would go to the online tool and you would copy paste or input your content into the tool online. You would save and publish your map to the portal website, and there's consent questions. You're by engaging in this process, you're willing to share your ideas as well, and you can certainly open that up and ask for feedback from others. But the idea is sharing here, so there's no misunderstandings that there will be intellectual property protected. The idea here is to share at least ideas in a general way. And then also the tool was designed to be able to allow you to download your pathway map as a simple PDF, not a very heavy file, in an A4 one-page format. And that may feel somewhat limiting as you really dive into this process, but the idea would be that you could take that and continue to work with it on your own. And there may be more in-depth pieces of this that we will add in the future, but for now, that's the scope of this. And again, that pathway map gallery. So in the interest of time, because I definitely want to continue to open this up for questions, I'm just going to point out that we have a series of videos, and there will be more coming online in the coming weeks and months, but this is one, and you will all have access to all of these links after this session that our colleague at GAIN, Françoise Cataneo, put together. That's sort of a 5-minute version of using the online tool. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to show you some of the highlights quickly as our session will come to an end in about 25 minutes. So again, there's a downloadable worksheet for you to start with, and the idea here is that you would sort of be walked through a series of these questions, helping you to describe your solution, giving you some examples, helping you to formulate some text around what the most important pieces of this are. In the online tool, the way that the tool is set up is for people to work with solutions already included in the IFSS portal database of solutions as a concept. So I showed you one example. We could use another example, and if you submit Li-Fi as a solution concept, or you find a solution that would be a really good fit to have Li-Fi as an example of, You can then start in the tool by selecting that solution that you would like to work with. If your solution is not yet in the portal, you can still use the backcasting tool online. So you can always select, I want to build a pathway for solutions that's not there yet, and you add in your own solution. So the tool is actually there for open use regardless of whether the solution is in there. We would love for you to submit your solution first. We need to give us a couple of days to be able to make sure that all the criteria fit just that broad scope, and then it will be up there, and then you could go ahead and add a pathway map to that. But you can always use this without your solution being there in that way. So to start with, again, going back to those 4 steps, we ask you to include a name for your for the solution. So this one, pathway for local high nutrient snacks, this is a solution already in there. The so what is really asking you to sort of pitch the major impact piece of what your solution or your real world example of that solution works towards. So in this case, local high nutrient snacks, this helps to reduce the burden of unhealthy imported snacks with highly nutritious foods based on locally sourced ingredients. And then you're asked to include a country, the context, maturity status, and who put this one up there. This one came from our team as we helped to edit the group that was working with this. The next step is that visioning. And again, I really want to focus on the way that we hope to help you think about dietary health impact, planetary health impact, and equity impact. And so you're walked through a series of questions that help you to frame these out. And you know, we do a very minimal edit, if any, on all of the maps that are submitted, as well as the solution profiles. So for the moment, unfortunately, English is the only language that the portal is live in, and so we ask you to submit in English if possible. If you can't, or someone from your team wants to submit in another language, that's fine. We will get back in touch with you and work with you to get this up there. And over 2022, we're working really hard to figure out how and what some of the best ways are for us to make the portal accessible in multiple languages, just to say that. But so there's a perfect language edit is not the goal here. The goal is really to focus on the core elements that we're asking you for in each of these fields in this questionnaire that will help you build this pathway map. And so to that end, there are actually word limits on all of these things. We want to encourage you to try to get that so what out there and that vision statement out there in a very meaningful, concise way to help people access that in really, really quick and agile ways. That may be very hard with complex solutions, but we're going to challenge you to work on that. And we would be back and forth with you as you would submit if we have questions or if we can help you clarify pieces there. So I just wanted to point that out. And this is just, you know, to take a look at those more in depth, but in the interest of time, I'm going to leave that for now. So we're going to leave you'll have this whole deck and you can go back and refer to this and look at this again with your teams as is most useful. The third part is that mapping of the key steps and identifying barriers and strategies to overcome these barriers. And so in the online tool itself, you're asked basically to list your first key step. So in this example, this would be to organize and perform a feasibility study. So these blue icons represent the steps. And when you're asked in the form, you fill it out in the form. And then it says, what would you like to do next? Would you like to add another step, or would you like to organize or add in a barrier that may appear sort of as the next step? And in the worksheet, you have spaces to work on these ideas, and you can certainly use arrows and number them and move yourself around. In the online form, once you add in all of these steps, it appears in a vertical list on your screen. You can then choose to move steps up or down, move barriers and solutions around in that way. And so it's a relatively simple tool. We purposefully did not use very complex tech on the back end because we wanted this to be bandwidth light as much as possible, to be as useful in as many settings as possible. But that's the idea. And this is, again, just our first version. So we welcome all input on how to make this better going forward. But so after you get through this phase, the map as you build it appears at the very bottom of your screen. So you can scroll down And you can see how this map is being built in this sort of one-page format, and move those pieces around as is most useful. I want to just draw attention to one thing here, which is that we ask you to identify and talk through and discuss, but then of course include barriers and possible solutions to those barriers. But there's also an option to say, I don't know, I'm not sure what kind of strategy would be useful to overcome or get through this barrier, and that's okay. And so this is a point where we hope that you and your team might use this kind of tool in multiple phases. You can come back and course correct. The tool doesn't allow you to do that in an agile way, but we would invite you to 6 months from now submit another pathway map that says, hey, we did come up with what this solution could be to this particular barrier, and go ahead and use this as a sort of dynamic mapping tool. And then finally, and this is something we want to get to in our discussion, so I'm going a little quickly here so we make sure we have some time for this. But as Rosalind mentioned, one of the things that we hope is most useful and somewhat unique about the way that the portal approaches helping to connect some of these dots and making sure that we don't think of single solutions as silver bullets to solving all of our problems, is to think about how solutions may work synergistically together. So what other solutions already in the portal or others that you may imagine could really be pulled together with your solution, with your innovation, to take your innovation's impact further faster? Or, for example, if your innovation really focuses on dietary health, a nutrition type of solution, and hadn't necessarily taken into context a lot of elements of planetary health, what other types of solutions may make the planetary health impact of that in positive ways better? And so we really encourage you to think about what other solutions. So you, in this section on the tool, it's quite simple. You just simply select from lists of solutions. So to this end, we hope that you open a new tab, look through the portal solutions again, think about what other things may work, and then add those in here. And to that same end, the essential elements is something that that we really also want you to think about. And so this is a picture of where you would start to do the bundling, and these essential elements, you can select all that apply, and we invite you to go, there's a link in the tool to go look at the glossary, and the glossary is also accessible in the solutions database. Right at the top of the Explore Solutions menu, there's a glossary tab. And what this does is it defines what these essential elements and enabling factors are. And these come from a range of research efforts that have identified these as really key factors. So ensuring stable finance would be sort of, if you think about what is the environment or the ecosystem, what else is happening in your context that will help or needs to be there in order for your solution to be able to move to scale and have impact. These are some of the issues that you would work on there. Eventually, and I think you saw it in the map, the example that Rosalind showed with has the curvy line, there were some icons, some colored circles that related to some of these enabling factors. So some of your key steps may actually be ways of building trust, for example, or steps that need to happen in order for mindsets to be transformed. Black rice is more acceptable culturally, for example, or other things that you can imagine. So just to keep this in mind, this is a way of making sure you're not thinking of your solution in a vacuum, right? Your solution and your innovation to have major impact are ideally are existing in the real world, and there's multiple things going on there. What's the policy environment look like? What does women's empowerment, for example, look like in a particular space? So we're asking you to think through some of these issues. And then once you were to work through your worksheet, possibly, and then go ahead and copy paste, you would submit your solution to the gallery of solutions. It will be attached to a solution if it's a solution that's already in the profile. So for example, solar powered cold chain is the overall solution. There may be many examples of what solar powered cold chain innovations or products or projects look like, and this would be one that was submitted from Ethiopia, and it looks like this. And others can download those maps there. Just to point out, this is not an automatic effort. When you submit your map, it comes to us on the back end at the Portal research team. And if we do a quick evaluation of, yep, that looks like a great fit, let's put it up there. If we have questions, we'll get back in touch with you. But expect about a week's time for the moment. We don't have that much traffic on this yet. If we got thousands of entries, it would take a bit longer. That would be a good problem to have. But just to say that expect about a week, and we'll send you a confirmation email saying, yep, we got it, we're working on it, and we'll let you know when it goes live. So just to show that. And I think I will stop there, and we'll open up the floor again for questions and comments. I'm going to stop sharing screen and so we can see faces to that end. You can use hand raises, or please just type your questions into the chat.
Yeah, there are some questions in the chat about making all the links and the slides available, and we'll definitely do that. So we'll share a package after the session. And don't hesitate, maybe questions come up later, so you can also always reach back to us later. We also have some discussion questions, discussion and reflection questions, and that we can take together with other questions. There is Mustafa, has his hand up. Yeah, Mustafa.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this informative session. I just wanted to ask, because from what I have just heard, that you have to do the evaluation of my input in the back end. What if I wanted to update, because the idea right now, or the solution right now at some stage later on, according to what I will be experiencing, applying it may change. So how easy it is for me to change the solution? This is one thing. The other thing is that, let's say I submitted a solution which is need a little bit of development. Can you help me to develop it, or you just evaluate what I give? You just give me your recommendation, I go work on it. It's like a teacher-student thing, or we working together? Thank you.
Yeah, these are great questions. Heather, do you want to give a first step?
Yeah, I will tackle that. So these are exactly the types of questions that we need to hear and understand from you to understand which directions to take the portal in. For the moment, I think the more excited you are about using these tools, get in touch with us, and we'll start to explore what ways we can make some of this process more agile. Right now, it's a one-direction submission. So if you submit a map, you can't go back and modify that map on the portal itself. But we will certainly be so we will reach out to everybody who has submitted solutions on a somewhat regular basis. I think for the moment, we're thinking once every 6 months, and ask you, what's going on with your solution? Would you like to submit a new version of your pathway map, or a new example, or new resources? So we will do a little bit of that kind of active reaching out to those that have submitted. We haven't had a whole lot of submissions yet. As I said, this is sort of just our first experiment with how well this works, how useful it is, how we can make it more useful. So all of that feedback is really valuable. And I think to the second question, for the moment, this is not really a mentorship type of relationship, but we can, depending on what types of questions you have, we can certainly begin to work with some of our partners to look around and help connect you to others that might be a good fit for that mentorship. It sort of depends on the demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we particularly want to stimulate kind of a core learning spirit, so that it's not so much a student-teacher relationship, but it's working together on this, as we have different pieces of the puzzle, and how can we jointly learn and co-create and co-learn in this. And there, like Heather says, we are looking for kind of the right facilitation for that. And we have these tools that have been used in different settings now, but it's really to see how people from different kind of angles can most effectively use them. It's in the first place to benefit your project and your innovations, to share and make it visible to others. I think they can also be useful, for example, if you apply to something like the Agrobiodiversity Accelerator, to include an impact pathway map like that. Or if you communicate to potential investors, it's kind of very convincing to include a pathway map where you show the thinking and the anticipation for impact in multiple dimensions. So we think this also, I mean, to connect with these different actors and to connect with kind of investors, funders, also or researchers where you see gap to stimulate that co-learning spirit. But it will be great also to exchange with you of what types of facilitation and ways work best from your end for that. Yeah.
Just one tiny add to that, Ro, which is just that we'll be sending a feedback survey to all of you who registered for this today, and we'll be asking those kinds of questions. So please feel free to give us your input, your ideas, what's interesting about that, what would work for you, what wouldn't, and that really helps us sort of also focus our efforts going forward with this.
Yeah, great. Then we can share some of the further discussion questions, as I don't see any hands up. So Heather, I think you will share your screen again. Yeah. So also, if you have some reflections about, if you have maybe done already something, a process similar to this backcasting before, would you like to share some lessons learned from your perspective? Or if you have connected with other innovations or innovators to kind of complement each other and strengthen each other's innovations, if you would like to share maybe some lessons learned around that. Also, in terms of thinking about impact of multiple objectives in terms of social, economic, environmental dimensions, and if there are certain things and lessons learned you would like to reflect on this. And I don't know if these are kind of bigger questions, so we can take some reflections now if people want to share, but also later on in this community of co-learning, we can further exchange and build upon your experience and reflections here. So maybe we just take see if there are any, in interest of time, maybe just to see if there are any spontaneous hands up, if people want to kind of give an example or share some of their experience or lessons learned around that. And if not, we move to the next steps. Yeah, I don't see any hands up now, so these are also questions that maybe might require a bit more reflection time. So in the feedback survey, we will also collect further ideas and thoughts around that. So yeah, I'll give it back to Heather in terms of the next steps.
Okay, thanks, Ro. So I think the first next step is to invite you all to visit the portal, explore the solutions database, and decide if your innovation is an example of something that's already up there. Do you have something that fits nicely already with solar-powered irrigation, for example? And you would add your solution as an example, add your website, add a link, you can add papers, you can add even just a project proposal if you're at an early stage of something to that. So get yourself up on there. And if not, there's a whole section, I didn't show this on the tour, but right on the Explore Solutions, you're invited to submit a new solution. And again, there's a questionnaire to help walk you through developing all of the sections, the description of your solution, what those impact areas are, and how to help you write those or think about them to present them in that way, and sharing links and lessons learned around that solution. So that would be sort of the first step. The second step would be to remind you to explore that funding set of resources in the funding database and the other tools and resources in the Moving to Action section. Some of those may help answer some of your questions or give you things to think about, maybe raise new questions for you as you would go into the backcasting exercise, and then ask you to go to the backcasting section of the portal. Use the offline worksheet. I would say in most cases that's useful. In all cases where I've tried to do this, it has not been useful to me to just do it directly online, but really to sit and think with some of the questions to begin with, and then to go to the online tool and submit and share your ideas there. And again, we will try to do as much feedback or at least confirmation of reception and questions and clarification if we have that as possible and as quickly as we can. But also again, this is not, as Rosalind said, not meant to be sort of experts giving you feedback. The idea is to share and co-learn and co-create some of these things together. There's just to highlight, excuse me, in all cases, whether you submit a solution or you submit an example, or you submit a pathway map, you have the option to include your name and or your organization or company's name and an email. And if you want that to be published on the portal so that people can reach out to you directly and give you feedback, we really encourage you to do that. We don't have a more active matchmaking function yet on the portal. That may not happen. We're evaluating that. But so if you want to be more visible and be reached by others that are interested in talking with you further, make sure to say yes to that and include your email and your name and your organization or company's name there. So we always, invite you to contact us, and we'll put all these links in the chat in just a minute. And all of the links in this presentation that we'll share with you, everything that's green and underlined are live links. So in the PDF, you can just click on these links and go to these pages. So hopefully that will make it easy for you as well. And we invite input, suggestions, contributions, collaboration ideas. Again, just to highlight the youth engagement section, that this is something that's been gaining a lot of traction for us over the last few months. And then to join the LinkedIn community on LinkedIn, and that link will be here as well. So I'm going to pass the word back to Megan to close us out here.
Sure. Just a big thank you to Heather and Ro for sharing that wealth of knowledge and all those opportunities through the IFSS. And in addition to taking advantage of those, we want to encourage all of you to keep up with the Accelerate for Impact platform. And we hope that in the process of developing further your innovations and building these pathways to impact, you give consideration to how science from an institution like CGIAR might help you in your journey to scale, and how A4IP could help to build those bridges between science and venture. So please stay tuned to our team's current and upcoming initiatives. Like I mentioned before, we're working with partners to organize more innovation challenges, like the one that you all made so successful, including the Digital Ag for Morocco Challenge. We're collaborating with leading venture studios to develop a program that combines CGIAR knowledge and expertise with the most talented and prodigious entrepreneurs for novel solutions. And all the while, we're working to produce knowledge on collaboratively commercializing innovations through state-of-the-art research and more groundbreaking forum events. So thank you all once again for your participation in the Agrobiodiversity Innovation Challenge. And by building on the momentum of that event and continuing to work together through the portal and through more communities, we believe that we can achieve unprecedented impact. And so we'll just close with these words from the 2021 UN Food System Summit. The health of our food systems profoundly affects the health of our bodies, as well as the health of our environment, our economies, and our cultures. When they function well, our food systems have the power to bring us together as families, communities, and nations. So thank you for attending this orientation. We hope that our tools will help you in your efforts to use your innovations to pave the way for that powerful food systems change. So like Heather and Rosalind mentioned, we'll be sending a follow-up email with links to the slide deck, all of the worksheets and resources, a follow-up survey, and contact information. So please feel free to reach out for help throughout the process. And good luck, everyone, with your innovations.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.